Welcome to episode number 113 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We are recording live on Google Hangouts on the air on September 26, 2015. We always start off with the worst story in communications during the past week. BL always has the honors. BL, what horrible story happened last week?
Well, I would have to say that Donald Trump took honors for at least one of the worst with his Twitter debacle of the week. I forget who said, like, somebody should take Twitter away from Trump. He had the hashtag AskTrump. And, once again, you wonder, what did they think would happen? Who said, what a good idea? Let's have people ask you anything they want to know. I would love to know who that person was. And if I were that person and I were Trump, I'd say you're fired. But, they made fun of him. Of course they did. They asked him about his hair. They asked him why his skin was the color, that weird color that it is. So, interestingly, on the same day that Ask Trump trended, because it did, so did New York Pizza Rat. Don't know if you guys heard about Pizza Rat, but Pizza Rat was this little rat that was in the subway, and it was bringing an entire slice of pizza down the stairs, and somebody happened to be there with their cell phone, took a picture of it, scared it away. So, but I mean, the rat was like this big and the pizza slice was that big, and it was taking it down the stairs. So somebody wrote an editorial in the New York Daily News that said, "I wish they wouldn't call me Pizza Rat. My name is Roger." So that wasn't the end of Trump, though. Trump also, what?
You said a little respect, folks.
Yeah, right. Give me a little respect. Trump also got into a big Twitter spat with National Review editor Rick Lowry, and Rick Lowry called him a whining baby because after his O'Reilly appearance was canceled, Trump tweeted that he was boycotting Fox because they were unfair to him.
Yeah, well, from the ridiculous to the insane, big story last week was Volkswagen scandal. So VW, this is from Business Insider, a story by Aaron Broadwin. VW, if you haven't heard already, and I can't imagine you haven't, 11 million cars on the road that have emissions cheating equipment installed on them. The EPA says 500,000 of VW's cars violate the law in the U.S. alone. Their stock price is obviously tumbling. They've been hit with a lawsuit filed on behalf of car owners who bought these diesel cars thinking they were environmentally friendly and performed well. So there's fraud on the consumers themselves, not just the government. It's affected U.S. vehicles, and they're putting up to 40 times as much nitrogen oxide as they were supposed to into the air. Nitrogen oxide is pretty nasty pollutant, and it contributes to climate change, but it can also exacerbate a dozen health conditions, including asthma, bronchitis, and emphysema. The software they use recognizes when the engine is running under testing conditions and then calibrates it to pass the EPA emissions test. And then when it recognizes the engine is running under normal conditions, it recalibrates it to increase nitrogen oxide levels to 10 to 40 times above standards. So it reduces the emissions controls that are set there to pass the test, basically. There's another related story on courts by Tim Fernholz about how the copyright laws made it easier for VW to cheat. So the Electronic Frontier Foundation says that the Digital Millennial Copyright Act, the law that governs the digital copyright protections, prevents tinkerers from examining or modifying the computer code that controls everything from the engine's throttle to brakes to even the steering. It brings up the issue that maybe the government should be sponsoring open source competitions for critical electronic infrastructure. Open source is it's a way of creating software where the crowd contributes. It can recognize flaws, vulnerabilities, and bugs much quicker than proprietary software could. New features are added much more quicker. The software will become better over time, and so WordPress is the poster child for this type of software. So, some things to think about, but a horrible, horrible story.
Well, it is a horrible story, and they bungled their apology. First, VW's chief in Germany, Martin Winterkorn said that he was not going to resign, and then he did resign, and then the investors fear that even though they said they're setting aside $7.3 billion to cover the financial hit that they know is coming, in the first 4 days after the scandal broke on September 18th, VW shares plummeted by a third. Then on Thursday, an apology was posted on Twitter by Michael Horn, who's the US CEO, but it's still not on the company's website or anywhere else I can find it. And he said, let me be clear about this. Our company was dishonest with the EPA, the California Air Resources Board, and all of you. And in my German words, we have truly screwed up. The head of, that's what he said. At the same time, he was unveiling a new Passat model in New York, and that's on the website, but the apology is not. You just, I mean, that's just wrong. It should be everywhere.
Yeah, in this case, I mean, they should be posting it everywhere. And I mean, an apology alone is not going to help them. They need to reimburse consumers for the cars that they bought under fraudulent claims. I mean, it's just complete disaster. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, speaking of complete disasters, there's Piggate. And the Prime Minister, David Cameron, the British Prime Minister, we were talking about this before the show, like either art is imitating life or life is imitating art. We're not 100% sure, but just when you think you've heard everything, in a new book that billionaire tax exile and former Conservative Party Deputy Chairman Lord Michael Ashcroft co-wrote with the journalist Isabel Oakeshott. They wrote a biography, and it's certainly not flattering because it includes allegations, among other horrible things, that during his days at Oxford and the hazing for a student society that he joined, he put his penis inside the head of a dead pig, and they claim that there's photographic proof. So then the British tabloids, which of course don't have a reputation for high ethical standards, to say the least, made this front page news. So now everywhere that David Cameron goes, people are snorting at him and oinking at him and carrying pigs, and they're posting, photoshopped pictures of him and pigs. And, the question is, how long can a leader who's engaged by, everywhere he goes, there's all these pig heckling and mockery, how long before his party decides that he really can't be the head? But the weirdest part of this story is its resemblance to the Black Mirror, the British TV thriller that was on Netflix. Is a dystopian society in the near future. And in an episode from 2011, the British Prime Minister was forced to have sex with a live pig on TV because that would be the way to fulfill a ransom demand for a group who took a princess hostage. And the writer of that series, Charlie Brooker, had some fun with this on Twitter, but he said he hadn't heard the rumors before he wrote the script. So now what does Cameron do? He ignores the whole thing, and he starts tweeting on Thursday as if this had never happened, and he was immediately met with a really seriously disgusting storm of replies. And there was really no official denial of the story. And on Sunday night, a spokesman for Cameron had issued a statement saying this disgusting story is a complete and utter fabrication, and cast huge doubt on the credibility of the other allegations in the book. But why'd you wait so long?
Yeah, I think you'd want to respond immediately to that. Related, not to that story, but Netflix just announced that they're going to have another series of Black Mirror. They're going to host another series of Black Mirror.
Oh, it was a great series.
Yep, yeah. It was so I'm looking forward to that because I did devour those episodes. They're very good.
Yeah, I watched them. So, better news?
No. Let's stick on the negative for
what you got?
So this is from Marketing Land, article by Ginny Marvin. Consumers can't tell the difference between sponsored content and editorial. So it's based on a Contently survey of 509 consumers aged 18 and up. They showed them one online brand sponsored piece from the New York Times, from the Wall Street Journal, from the Atlantic, from the Onion, from BuzzFeed or Forbes, or an actual article about Whole Foods in Fortune. The results is 4 out of 6 groups shown a native advertisement. A strong majority of them said they thought the ad was an article. I have always said that consumers don't mind sponsored content as long as the commercial relationship is transparent. Publishers need to clearly label sponsored content for what it is. People will consume it if it's valuable, if it's compelling, and that's on the advertisers. But they'll completely dismiss the entire category if they feel that they're being duped into consuming it. So sponsored content is, given the current spate of how people ignore advertising, could be a great way of getting commercial messages out if marketers don't destroy the category first. So be careful.
Which they probably will do, because they're just not careful about stuff like that. So that brings us to better news.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have to say that Lady Gaga has done something really spectacular. Her new video for her song, Till It Happens to You, is really disturbing and really powerful, and it shows the reality of sexual assaults that happen on a daily basis on college campuses. It's hard to watch, that's all there is to it, but it's a real view of what's going on, and the whole point of it is that, it's not important until it happens to you. And she's showing how it happens to transgender kids, it happens to straight kids, it happens to it just happens a lot every day on college campuses, and it's like nobody wants to talk about it.
It is. It was a very, very powerful music video, and getting across that message. And this issue has been, it's been happening for decades. It's like, it's nothing new. It's just finally people are starting to talk about it. And, the colleges have been sort of complicit in not reporting a lot of the times, not reporting this, because obviously nobody wants to send their kids to college that has a lot of allegations of rape.
But I have to say, of all people who I did not think would be doing this video, I didn't expect this from Lady Gaga, and this makes me look at her music in a different way. She's not wearing a meat dress this year, and she's looking at serious issues. So, kudos to her, because that was I hope the whole world sees this, and I hope that it's viral everywhere, because it really just totally needs to be seen.
So, I have no transition from that.
I thought one should hope not, really.
Yeah, exactly. In my best, it correlates to a worse last week that we talked about, but the developer of the top ad blocking app has pulled his product from the Apple App Store. It's Marco Arment. He is the developer of the Peace ad blocking app, which was #1 on the paid charts in the App Store. And he wrote a blog post explaining his rationale for why he pulled it from the store. Achieving this much success, he said, with Peace just doesn't feel good, which I didn't anticipate, but probably should have. Ad blockers come with an important asterisk. While they do benefit a ton of people in major ways, they also hurt some, including many who don't deserve the hit. Peace required that all ads be treated the same, all or nothing enforcement for decisions that aren't black and white. This approach was too blunt. I have both decided that it doesn't serve our goals or our beliefs well enough. So last week we discussed Apple's evil intentions to become the masters of our universe. Here's more evidence for why I think that. Also, iOS 9 broke my Flipboard app, which is one of my favorite news apps, not coincidentally at the same time that they released their own Apple News app. So
is that right? It didn't do it to mine. I don't know, but it did force me once again to verify my phone in iCloud and to create a new password. And, like every time they update it, it's a bad thing. But on a happier note, Snoop Dogg has launched a lifestyle network for pot smokers. It's called Mary Jane. And this is from a story in TechCrunch by Jordan Crook. And, Snoop Dogg's been the unofficial representative of all things weed for a long time, and he's been investing in tech products, and so he's had a particular focus for the last year or so on products in the cannabis industry. And so now he's launched this platform called Mary Jane, and it's a lifestyle media site with cannabis at the center. It has video content, editorial content, and it's an information place for everybody who's interested in pot, whether they're newbies or seasoned smokers. And it ranges from a cooking show where you can learn how to make edibles that go well with cannabis consumption or that include cannabis. And there's a show that focuses on people's first time smoking, and they also have celebrity interviews, and they are going to have celebrities who are down with the team. He said Seth Rogen and Miley Cyrus. And they also make it super easy to search for what you want, whether that's, I don't know what wax is, but edible or flower or whatever. And you can search by the type of cannabis, the flavors, the symptoms, and there's high-res imaging for every product that's listed. And they're also taking a look at the business and politics of the cannabis industry, the breaking news about legalization, and that's just the start. They also have their own database around various strains of cannabis created by their Mary Jane editorial team, and it lets users learn more about which strain might be right for them, and then it connects them with a local dispensary where they can get that herbal supplement.
Wow. Well, you remember last year when decriminalization and legalization was coming to the fore in media coverage and everything, we discussed the the mainstreaming of cannabis culture and how, from marketers' standpoint, we sort of need to pay attention to that because it's clearly a trend that is spreading, and this is yet more evidence.
Imagine how much money he's going to make with Mary Jane. You know, I mean, it's just somebody had to do it. That was pretty smart, if you ask me.
Yeah, yeah. So. PETA is in the news again. People for the ethical treatment of animals. This is from a court story by Amna Modin. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. It is about. The question is, if a monkey takes a selfie, who owns the right to the photo? There's a British wildlife photographer named David Slater who has been embroiled in this debate for the last few years. Now, animal rights group PETA has stepped in. The backstory is that Naruto, a 6-year-old macaque who lives in Indonesia, took a series of selfies when Slater left his camera unattended in 2011. Slater insists he owns the copyright to the photos because he set the whole thing up so the monkey could press the button, but the U.S. Copyright Office disagreed. They updated their policies last year and would only register copyright for works produced by human beings. The PETA lawsuit named Slater and self-publishing company Blurb, who published a book called Wildlife Personalities that contains Naruto's photos. And PETA argues that entitles the monkey to damages. And they want all proceeds from the photos to be spent on Naruto, his family, and community. Just from simply a PR standpoint, PETA absolutely knows how to create a headline. Oh my God. I feel sorry for the photographer though, but my God, they do know how to create news for themselves.
They really seriously do. My all-time favorite PETA story has got to be when they said you shouldn't leave milk and cookies for Santa because milk will make Santa impotent. I'm sure a lot of kids worry about that. They're crazy. Okay, so back to real life. Twitter is partnering with Square, and they're going to allow political donations through tweets. But on the Twitter blog, they said, a little full of themselves, they said when people have conversations about politics, they have them on Twitter. It's what voters learn and share in these conversations that routinely motivate political action. And so they want to make it easier for people to support candidates. So candidates sign up, and then their tweets automatically include a donate, contribute button. And you just donate directly through Twitter, and when you see a tweet with that hashtag, it's called, then you hit the contribute button and you can donate and add your debit card and FEC required information. And then you can tweet to your followers that you made that donation. Smart of Twitter.
Yeah, very cool.
So does that bring us to shiny new objects?
Stuff, yeah.
Okay. Well, I have one that's just silly. For the new Peanuts movie, you can get Peanutized, where you can make a picture of yourself and put yourself in a scene with the Peanuts characters. So I had a good time yesterday making a curly-haired blonde Lucy with sunglasses who was with Snoopy, and then you can put that on Twitter and Facebook, and you have your choice of scenes, and it's just fun.
That's very cool. Well, we talked about when Jurassic World opened up. They had
yes,
where you could put dinosaurs into any photograph that you take or video.
I still have that app. I love that app.
So cool. It's such a great idea too. This is not nearly as cool, but it is still cool. SumoRank is a tool from BuzzSumo that we've talked about in the show before in cool tool in shiny new stuff. But they recently released a new tool called SumoRank, which analyzes Facebook page activity. So it tells you for any Facebook page, you have to get beyond a critical mass of followers for the page. So if you've got 100 followers, it's probably not going to work. But it analyzes the Facebook page activities. It tells you the most popular day of the week based on user interactions, the likes, shares, comments. It tells you the most popular hour of the day, the most popular post type, the average engagement per post, and the average engagement per character count, among other things. So if you want to analyze how a given page is maybe a competitor or just a category, you want to see how people are reacting to a certain category of Facebook pages, this is a nice research tool for that.
That sounds like something to take a look at. I saw 23 image tools and resources for social media from Buffer. And they have some really good tools in that list. And they also introduced something called Pablo that lets you create images right from their site without signing up for an account or giving them a credit card or anything like that. So that's worth taking a look at.
Facebook, I think we talked about it in a past episode, we're considering turning their notes feature into a blogging platform. Well, they've done it. So they flipped the switch and it's rolling out. So now if you go to facebook.com/notes, if you have that feature, you'll be able to use it as a blogging platform similar to Medium. And so it will have the large image, and you'll be able to. It's basically competing with LinkedIn's publishing platform and Medium, and everybody's all these social networks are adding content creation platforms to their feature set because obviously free content. More people spend more time on the platform. So
okay, but where do you find notes on Facebook?
Facebook.com/notes.
Really?
Go there and you'll see if you have it'll work, but whether you have the new feature or not depends on, they're rolling it out gradually. So
Dave, have you seen any word on when Facebook's live streaming is going to go for everybody?
I have not.
Yeah, I don't know if that's, in the works anymore. I mean, they've been very quiet about it.
I think it would be, given how popular live streaming is. The other thing one last thing I have in shiny new stuff is a cool app called Ring. Now, I am paying attention to this because all of a sudden, because I moved and I have a doorbell. People can actually ring my doorbell. I didn't have that before. So Ring is an app that is a video doorbell. So it's hardware that you install. It costs $199. You install it in place of your doorbell, and it's attached to an app. It's Wi-Fi enabled. It has sensors, so it can tell when somebody's nearby. But you can use the app to answer the door from anywhere, or pretend like you're home. So what burglars often do is they'll ring the doorbell. If nobody's home, then there's an opportunity for them to rip you off. So you can act like you're home. So that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. In the late 70s in New York, Time Warner had these video, this was before any of this technology really existed. Like, you could see who was ringing your buzzer on your TV. And so there was a camera downstairs, and you'd come down in the morning and there'd be people rehearsing Shakespeare and, you know, like doing their makeup in front of the camera. It was really very funny. But
Yeah, I had that too. Yeah, I remember that. That's cool.
it was cool. And you don't really see that anymore. I don't know why. Maybe because people abuse, I don't know. Anyway, I believe that brings us to the daily numbers, which are pretty funny.
Daily numbers. You probably already heard this if you're watching the show, but too nice to too sweet to resist. Selfie deaths, selfie deaths versus shark attack deaths. This is from a Mashable article. In episode 55, we talked about extreme selfies during the running of the Bulls. But that was last year, so it doesn't count, and no one actually died, so it can't be counted in this tabulation. But Mashable put together a chart of the number of selfie deaths this year, which is 12. So people taking selfies in dangerous situations, like there's the article cited the Taj Mahal. There's some tourists at the Taj Mahal who are taking a selfie, and a 66-year-old man tumbled down the stairs and died as a result of his injuries. And you know, it's dangerous work taking selfies. So 12 selfie deaths this year compared to only 8 from shark attacks. Be careful out there. It's a dangerous world, people. Be careful out there.
That's great. So that brings us to the end of the show. And so thanks for watching episode 113 of the Beyond Social Media Show. We will have links to all of the topics we discussed, the original sources, on our blog, beyondsocialmediashow.com. And we'll have the video, and the video will be time-stamped, and you will be able to go directly to any segment you're interested in. Where you find us online, David Erickson is at @DErickson on Twitter. His blog is eStrategyBlog.com. He also blogs at creativepr.com/blog. Really excellent blog. I'm BL Ochman. You'll find me on Twitter. I'm at What's Next. My blog is What's Next Blog. I write for Ad Age, Digital Next, and my website is maximum-plus.com for all things streaming media. On the web, the Beyond Social Media Show is at beyondsocialmediashow.com. On Twitter, we're at BS Media Show. We have a newsletter that you need to read, and it is at beyondsocialmediashow.com/newsletter. It's got content we don't have time to cover in the show, and other content that we think will delight you, and you won't miss an episode that way because we'll remind you. And we also are on Stitcher and iTunes. You will find us in both places if you'd like to download the audio of the show. So we'll be back next week, same time, same station, and we thank you for watching today.
Thanks for watching.